Hello everybody, and thank you for watching the Duncan the DM Productions. Today I will be here to go through the strength reviews on the Kids on Bike system. There are abilities that all characters have that they can activate throughout the session. They use adversity tokens to do this, and it will give them different abilities. Cool under pressure. You may spend one adversity token to take half of your dice value on a snap decision instead of rolling. So if you would normally roll a d20, you can spend an adversity token and take a 10 instead. To me, this strength seems very limited in usage. Typically, you'd only want to take a half value on your d20 or maybe your d12. Anything lower than that, you probably wouldn't want to do. So then your rolls would have to be off of your two big stats. For a one-shot with it only taking one adversity token, it's not that big of a deal. But again, how many opportunities would you have? For a campaign, it's not that big of a deal for only one adversity token, but it'd be more likely to come up in a campaign, so it may be more useful there. So that's why I think of the cool under pressure strength. The easygoing strength. It states you gain 2 adversity tokens when you fail instead of 1. Anytime you fail roll in Kids on Bikes, you gain adversity tokens, and you'd gain 1. So this will let you double what you get. This is really good for both for a one-shot and for a campaign. In a one-shot, it'll help you get your adversity tokens quickly for your other ability or to influence your dice rolls. So it's great there. And in a campaign, it probably loses some of its value because you're going to gain more adversity tokens just by having more opportunities to roll or more checks that come up. Still, gaining 2 tokens each time is better than 1. If you stockpile your tokens up, it can really help at that key moment. So easygoing is a good strength to have, both in a one-shot and a campaign, in my opinion. The strength gross, it reads as, you have some kind of gross bodily trick, loud, quiet, smelly, up to you, that you can do on command. This sounds like a very narrative one. There's not much to keep you from doing this without the strength. To me, it seems pretty worthless, since you can kind of just say that you're going to do something. To me, it sounds pretty worthless for both a one-shot and a campaign. If you're playing a stereotype that has a strange quirk, then this may fit. This may just be good for your trope if it has something to make you less popular or to stick out. But overall, this doesn't seem like a very good strength to me. The next strength is heroic. It reads as, you do not need a GM's permission to spend adversity tokens to ignore fears. Now, for the game mechanics of fears, you get between a -1 to a -3 on your dice rolls, depending on how potent your fear is affecting you. You can ask, in the rules it says you can ask if you can use a token to ignore it. This one means you can do it without having to have your DM's permission. So for this strength, the frequency is the only thing that stands out to me of how much we would be able to use this. If your lead narrator designs the story with your fears in mind, it may be good. So in a one-shot, it might be very helpful. I think over a long campaign, it's probably going to lose a lot of value, depending on your fears. So to me, this is not a very strong strength. Intuitive is the next strength we're going to go over. The player may spend 1 adversity token to ask the GM about your surroundings, an NPC, or the like. The GM must answer honestly. So now this can be a really powerful one, depending on your GM's answering honestly. From reading the Harry Dresden files, one of the things that they talk about is fairy truths. The fairy truth is you say something that is true, but skirts the issue or does not directly answer the question that was asked. So if they're using fairy truths, it can be more misleading than beneficial. So you hope your lead narrator is using this correctly. For both a one-shot or for a campaign, this sounds like a very great strength to have. For only 1 adversity token, it can help you get a much better understanding of what's going on in your surroundings or with your NPCs. So getting into their motive, understanding the environment, understanding how things work. Really good talent. Loyal is the next strength that we're going to go over, and its definition reads as, each of the adversity tokens you spend to help your friends gives them +2 instead of +1. In the Kids on Bike system, you're able to use your adversity tokens and lend them to your friends. When you do this, they normally get +1. This similar to using an adversity token yourself. If now you're encouraged to give them to your friends and they get greater benefits. So for this strength, again, how often you get to use it may be the only determining factor of why it may not be that great. During a one-shot, you're going to have a limited number of adversity tokens, so you probably won't have as many to pass over to your friends to help out. During a campaign, will be a much better strength, since you'll be able to use your acquired tokens to help out your friends and your allies. One rule in Kids on Bike system is when you help out, you need to make sure to be able to describe how you're doing it. So, but loyal is a very good strength to have in this game. I like it a lot for a campaign, and I think it can be good for a one-shot. The next strength we're going to go over is lucky. It reads as, the player may spend 2 adversity tokens to reroll a stat check. So this is really good. My only concern with it on a one-shot is you're going to have a low number of adversity tokens, so it'll limit you on how often you can use this ability. With a campaign, you're going to be able to keep your adversity tokens as the story goes on, so you're going to be able to spend these tokens as you keep going. For a one-shot, we may ask if the lead narrator may lower it down to 1 adversity token, because depending on how long you play, you may not get too many of them. For the campaign, I think it's priced right at 2. The next strength we're going over is prepared. It reads as, a player may spend 2 adversity tokens to just happen to have 1 commonplace item with you. GM's discretion. So this strength is there when you need to have an item that you didn't have previously that you can just add into your inventory and your GM's okay with. With the cost of 2 adversity tokens, in a one-shot it may be limited usage. You're not going to have as much time to gain as many adversity tokens. Dropping it down to 1 may be better for a one-shot, depending on how long your sessions are. For a ongoing campaign, this loses some value because you're going to have more time to gather resources before you head out for your mission and be able to prepare. So you can have these commonplace items with you ahead of time. And it'd still be good in case you get surprised, but I think overall it loses a lot of value on a campaign because you have time to prepare for your scenario ahead. The next strength we're going to cover is protective. It reads, add +3 to rolls when defending your friends. This is worded where it could either be from a physical situation or from a social or verbal situation, which is different than my original reading of this, and that makes it even better. This would really fit in it well into a group depending on your trope, but remember, once you jump in to protect your friend, this may put you in the hot spot instead of them. In a one-shot, I see this as being really good since there will be less rolls throughout the game. Adding a +3 to those rolls is going to be very helpful when needed. In a campaign, it's still going to be really good to help protect your friends, but again, instead of them being in the situation, once you jump in, you're probably going to be put at risk versus your friends. So you may want to use it carefully depending on your character's trope, so you don't become the main focal point of the conflict. The next strength we have is quick healing. It's free for children. It's also available to teens and adults. It reads, you recover from injuries more quickly and you don't suffer long-lasting effects from most injuries. Now, in a one-shot, there's probably going to be limited uses for this to come up due to the length of the game. In an ongoing campaign, this may be good because they'll help you recover a lot quicker. In a campaign, this will be more beneficial. If you do get injured, they'll let you get back on track a little bit quicker. Overall, for this talent, it may have more limited use but is good to have and is also free for children. The next strength we're going to go over is Rebellious. This is free for teenagers. It reads, add +3 when persuading or resisting persuasion from a child, and add +3 to rolls when resisting persuasion from adults. So since it's free for teens, it'll be used in a lot of games. So with this strength, I think how often you're going to be able to use it would be the big thing in question. In a one-shot, you probably won't be able to use it very much. A one-shot, typically you want to push the story pretty quickly, so you're probably not going to have as many resistance rolls that you have to go through. Now for a campaign, I think this is really good because as you continue to get in trouble, as teens do and as players do, you're going to run into more roles where you have to resist persuasion from adults or be able to persuade the kids that are around. I really like Rebellious. I think it fits great for teens and it's really good for a campaign since there's more opportunities for it to come up. The next strength we're going to go over is skilled at ... Now this is free for adults. This is where they choose a skill related to their profession, so that it's something that they'd be really good at. It's available to teams, and it says with GM's permission, the children can have it as well. The strength reads, choose a skill, GM's discretion. You're assumed to succeed whenever making a moderately difficult check, which is 9 or less, involving this skill. If the GM determines you do need to roll for a more difficult check, add up to +3 to your roll when you do it. So this represents you being very familiar with doing a certain skill. I think this is a very good strength to have. In a one-shot, I think it has the limiting issue of essentially game's not as long, you may not run into that scenario. But when you do, that ability to auto-pass on 9 or less is very good to have. I think for a campaign, it's even better since you're going to get more use out of this strength, since you'll be able to use it more often in the ongoing campaign. The next strength we're going to cover is tough, and this one reads, if you lose a combat roll, add +3 to the negative number. You still lose the roll no matter what, but you could reduce your loss to -1. So what this does is when you get into a fight or when you get beat up, you're used to it, or you can power through it a lot better. So you're going to take off 3 points off of what happens to you. This can make it so you just negate injuries completely, or get you out of the severe injuries and up into less detrimental ones. So in a one-shot, this may be very limited usage, just due to opportunities. In an ongoing game, I think it may come up more often, so having this would be good to help protect you. Treasure Hunter. Treasure Hunter reads, may spend 1 adversity token to find a useful item in your surroundings. This strength will be similar to the prepared strength. This will help you find items in your surrounding versus helping you find items that are being prepared and bringing the items with you. So the difference is, when you're out in the woods, you can use this to help find a long stick that you need to reach something up high. Where prepared, you wouldn't really have something like that you'd bring along with you. Or you find something hidden in the bushes. Many different ways of finding things to get you what you need. As well, for 1 adversity token, I think it's good to have. It's in a one-shot, it's cheap enough where you can use it to get items that you need to get out of the situations. In a campaign, you have the benefit of being prepared ahead of time, so you might not need it as much, but it's still there for that fallback, so I still like it even in a campaign. The next strength is unassuming. The player may spend 2 adversity tokens to not be seen within reason. So this is the strength you use when you want to fade out of whatever is going on. Now the GM does have discretion. It does cost 2 adversity tokens, so I think you'd probably get a little bit of leeway on this. Now in a one-shot, it's good for getting out of trouble. The cost does seem a little high with 2 adversity tokens depending on how long your one-shot is. You may not get too many adversity tokens. For a campaign, I think it shines a little bit better because, again, in a campaign, you're going to continue to get in trouble and you're going to have those tokens ready from your other failed rolls. So I think it's better in a campaign than in a one-shot, but it definitely has its perks in a one-shot game as well. The last strength in the book is wealthy, and it reads, a player may spend money as you are 1 higher age bracket. For example, a wealthy child is considered to have disposable income that is typical of a teen. A wealthy teen is considered to have disposable income typical of an adult, and a wealthy adult does not need to worry about such things as money, as they would be able to afford and buy what they need. In a one-shot, this is good because when you get to the spot where you need to prep, in a one-shot, I think gives you advantages that you may be able to get items that you normally would not be able to have, like maybe a camcorder, have a car, or a motorcycle, or something else that the other players might not be able to get. In a campaign, I think it still has a lot of strong uses, being able to bring in new items to the group to help out, where if one player is wealthy, they'll be able to get the items that the other players can't, and will let them shine a little bit more in the game. So those are all the strengths in the Kids on Bike system. I hope this has been helpful. Now, one thing I do recommend when you run a one-shot campaign is to start your players with some adversity tokens. If you like rolling dice, I'd say roll a d4. If you don't like rolling dice, I'd say give people 2 or 3 adversity tokens to start. That way they can use their strengths that they have without having to fail rolls, because depending on how many rolls you have in your game, your players may not get too many adversity tokens that even use their strength. I hope that helps out. This is my review of the strengths in the Kids on Bike system, and thank you for listening to this Duncan the DM Productions.